So yes, out of necessity, what we had to do from a very early stage was ensure that all levels of the command, control, coordination structure were involved in our planning and preparation to ensure there was a common understanding across the security architecture around the roles, responsibilities of different levels of command, control and coordination. As long as 3.5 years out from the Games, we held the first exercise, which was a tabletop discussion between all of the security agencies at the time that were expected to be represented in the Olympic Coordination Centre, as well as many of the 43 police forces who were represented by their chief constables. And the progressive assurance approach allowed us to confirm that we had the right structures in place, the right information exchange model in place, the right processes in place, and really critically importantly, the right legal arrangements in place for decision-making and escalation of decision-making. So what we tried to do at every point was test the full spectrum from operational to government level, cabinet office, briefing room level of decision-making wherever we could.
So now we come to the 26th of July, 2012, the day before the Olympics kicks off, the greatest event, the greatest security event in post-World War II Europe. Are we ready? I mean, it's always nice to have more time, but are we ready?
We were certainly as ready as we could be, in my view. What I would like to stress as well was, of course, we had 3.5 months of torch relay that we had to be ready for prior to the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games. And in many respects, the torch relay around the United Kingdom presented as big a security challenge to the UK as the Games itself, because of the sheer scope and scale and the almost impossible task of securing thousands of kilometres of roadway. But yes, I think the answer to the question is we were as ready as we could have been on the 26th of July. What we didn't anticipate was the first major security challenge, which was the cyber threat that was posed to the Olympic Stadium on the day of the opening ceremony. But having rehearsed and prepared for pretty much every threat or risk that we could anticipate, we were well placed to deal with that, and the Games opening ceremony went ahead as planned.
And I'm sure that during the course of the Olympics, every morning you were getting up hoping to see nothing in the headlines except good news about gold medals. What sort of review process was there? Because, of course, however much you prepare, the moment you go live, you start discovering things you hadn't thought about or weren't aware of. Was that an issue? And were you a learning organisation when you were actually within the challenges of the Olympic management project?
Yeah, I mean, to answer the last bit of that first, we had to be a learning organisation, both from a National Olympic Coordination Centre perspective and from a UK government perspective. So every day, to coin a phrase, was a school day that we learnt from the challenges of the previous day and prepared for the foreseen challenges going forward. There were situations that arose during the Olympic Games that had to be dealt with, some of which, understandably, were not articulated in the safety security risk assessments. But our preparation and our planning allowed us to deal with these situations because we were prepared generically for pretty much every eventuality. And the key to success was the way in which we shared information and the consistency of that information sharing to ensure that we could elicit exactly the right response within the right timescale.
I must say, as one project manager to another, congratulations. It was a massive success. And it was, I'm sure, both a challenging but a rewarding experience. As you said at the beginning, it is a unique experience. So my final question to you is, what is the legacy? Has there something changed within the UK security and risk management architecture framework concept that has learned from that and that we're actually benefiting from in the post-Olympics period?
Yes, there has been a legacy, and the legacy of learning and understanding around the significant threats to the UK as a country and its critical national infrastructure is a wonderful legacy. The willingness to collaborate and cooperate when sharing information intelligence, I believe, is a fundamental, important legacy as well. And I think the third area of significant legacy from a safety and security perspective is the UK's ability to undertake security, policing and counter-terrorist operations cross borders, so between different police forces, different emergency responders' areas of responsibility, which is something that wasn't impossible before the Olympic Games by any stretch of the imagination, but the ability to share information as part of cross-border, cross-boundary operations was significantly enhanced and is much better now after the Olympic Games